Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Halftime Oranges. Today, we're going to review the first fixtures of the 21-22 season, when we're going to go straight into it with Brentford and Arsenal, Stefan.
Yeah, big game, obviously, first game of the season and a first taste of the Premier League for Brentford. And it's also the first time they're going to have a full capacity at their new stadium as well, since being promoted. So, yeah, huge night. I think it could be a real cracker, actually. It might even be the game of the weekend, this. We know what Brentford are all about. They've got this identity, expansive football. And we've seen in the past with teams like Leeds and Swansea, when you marry that with a goal scorer, you can finish quite high up the league. If they can get service to Tony, this opening fixture, this could be quite fruitful. It's a debut for Aya in from Celtic as well, and a debut for Lokonga and for White. And not a lot has been made of that big transfer fee. And he'll have his hands full with Tony as well. White, I imagine over time, will form a partnership with Gabriel. However, Gabriel is injured. So it looks like Pablo Mari will be coming in to partner White for the first part of the season. Arsenal weren't able to keep a clean sheet in pre-season. So I can see Brentford maybe scoring here, and certainly Tony being amongst the goals. I wonder maybe if the passing style of Brentford might suit Arsenal. And this might be a good opening game for them, for Arteta's Arsenal. Up front, it'd be interesting to see who Arteta goes with. Obviously, we've spoken about Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe. I think Pepe could be the key man here for Arsenal. He's got 3 in the last 5 games for them. And will Saka play a role from the start or from the bench? For me, I could see this being a score draw, maybe a Desmond 2-2 and a great game.
Yeah, I can't really see Desmond Tutu showing up for this one, though. Cool. Yeah, I think Brentford are really going to take the Premier League alight, to be perfectly honest with you. I can see Tony definitely giving the Arsenal defence some problems. I mean, Ben White's a key addition to that Arsenal defence. But to be perfectly honest, I mean, you know, at the back they've been shocking lately. I think the likes of Xhaka and Bellerin are really going to have their work cut out with Tony, especially up front. And let's not forget Mbeumo. You know, he's a real, you know, engine in that midfield for Brentford, and I can really see him ticking over quite nicely.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you, Stefan. I think it's going to be a draw. I don't think Arsenal have the firepower or the squad right now to obviously compete in the Premier League. And I think because it's going to be a Friday night, like you said, the crowd are going to be back. I think this really suits Brentford. But I don't know if they have the total quality to get over the line to win. So yeah, I'm gonna sit on the fence on this one and say a score draw. Clive?
Brentford win for me. I don't think it's a case of Brentford. I don't think it's a case of Brentford having the quality. I think it's a case of Arsenal just not having much quality at all. Right. So yeah, I think Brentford win for me. 2-0 Brentford.
Right. All right. We'll move on to the next game. It's one that I'm really intrigued about. It's Man United versus Leeds. And I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about this one. Rashford's out with a shoulder injury. He's had surgery. Cavani and Varane are doubtful. We still haven't announced Varane, which is starting to get on my nerves a little bit. Henderson and Lingard have had COVID issues, so it looks like De Gea will be starting. And Bayer and Diallo were at the Olympics, so they won't feature at all. Sancho looks like he'll probably be on the bench, which means that now Solskjaer wants to go with a 4-3-3. He's stated that he doesn't want to do the double pivot anymore. So it might be a case of Matic is going to be starting in centre mid. And then next to him will be Bruno Fernandes. And then it could be Pogba or it could be Van der Beek. I'm not sure which one. And with Rashford out, looks like it's going to be James on the left, probably Greenwood on the right and Martial up top. You know, we could switch that and put Greenwood up top, James on the right, and then, you know, Pogba on the left. But yeah, it's looking like from what we've seen, that James is going to start on the left. And I think this will suit Leeds. This is not a great Man United side. It's a good Man United side, don't get me wrong, but it's not a great Man United side. Last season, of course, it was 6-2. I don't think we're going to see anything like that at Old Trafford. Obviously, the fans are back. Now let's move on to Leeds. They had 6 pre-season friendlies. They lost 4 and drew 2. Llorente is out, the centre-back, and Firpo is doubtful, which means they're going to have to play Stuart Dallas at left-back. As a United fan, there's a part of me that really wants Sancho now to play on the right wing to attack Leeds' left side, because I think we could do damage there. But like I said, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. He's going to start from the bench. Phillips might not be fit, which, again, is a positive for Man United. Bielsa just confirmed his new contract as well with Leeds, so that'll give him a little bit of a lift. United are undefeated in their last 29 out of 32 Premier League games. However, Leeds have won their last 4 matches at the end of the season, scoring an average of 2 goals in each game. I have to put my head on the line. I'm going to go with the United win. I'm going to go United are going to win this one. I think they'll have a little bit too much quality and they will get over the line. Stefan, what do you reckon?
Well, I think you mentioned the 6-2 last year. So I think Leeds had that real gung-ho approach to every game they played in the opening months of the season. And I think Bielsa came under some criticism. And at the turn of the calendar year, he actually tailored that approach. And he's got a really good record now against the top 6 clubs. So that might be something to consider. You mentioned there, big injury to Phillips. Is it be Sancho go down that right side? I can see Man United edging this.
Okay, Clive?
It's not the greatest Man United front line though. That I mean,
no, it's not. It's not.
I'm trying to think when Daniel James actually did something in a game. I really can't think so. Mason Greenwood looked very, very good in pre-season.
He did.
And Martial, I mean, if you're relying on Martial to put in a performance, then you know you're in trouble, basically.
Well, that's why I think we're going to rely on Bruno to be scoring from midfield. I've got him as a little penciled in as man of the match. One to watch might be Bruno Fernandes in this game. I think the game will be won in midfield because, like you said, our front three is not great. Not great
except for Mason Greenwood, who I think might have a very, very good season this season. I think for Leeds, Filippo in the press conference with Bielsa yesterday, he'll come through and he'll start at left back. Actually,
he will. Okay.
I think so. That's what Bielsa was saying in the press conference yesterday. Llorente's are quite a while off. They've not really expanded a great deal on the squad. Leeds, I think they've got a few things that are cooking in the background, but Bielsa was a bit guarded with that. I mean, they like to go out and attack Leeds, and that could allow the likes of James and Martial and Greenwood to get behind them. But like you said, Stefan, you know, their defensive record in the second half of last season was absolutely excellent.
Prediction? What do you think, Clive? What's your prediction?
I'm thinking 2-1 United.
All right. We're all going home win then. All right, moving on. Brighton. Stefan, what do you think? Burnley versus Brighton.
Brighton has got last on match of the day written all over it, I'm afraid. It's not one for the neutrals, is it? Burnley, as we spoke about, very little investment. Only Crystal Palace had an older starting 11 last year. Gibson, the only debutant in this game. Their home form surprised me, actually. That the last home win was in January. So I think they're one of the clubs that maybe it's going to be a big factor this weekend, but one of the clubs that missed having fans at the ground in the COVID era, and that might play a part this year. Chris Wood, ex-Brighton striker, is fit, and he's got a great scoring record against Brighton, so he could cause some problems. However, Burnley's record against Brighton isn't great, and they've only won one of the last 7 against the Albion. Brighton, really, the striker crisis has been compounded this week with the news of Danny Welbeck's injury. So he's likely to miss the first month of the season. So a big weight on the shoulders of Neil Maupay. And I just wonder now whether this might push Potter into making that deal for somebody before the end of August. We might see Florian Andoni, who you might not remember, was a signing about 3 seasons ago. Had a first good season, got an injury, went out on loan to Galatasaray, and now he's back in contention. So I wonder if he might play a part. Debut for Mwepu, partnering alongside probably the man to watch, actually, Yves Bissouma. And I think this is where Brighton can win that midfield battle. And that might prove key for Brighton. Brighton got a good away record, got in most of the points away from home. But an area where they really need to improve on is getting points against teams that are around them, which is very, very poor last year, sorry. And also defending of set pieces. And we've got Dwight McNeil whipping in balls for Chris Wood. That could be a problem for Brighton. Getting points against the big teams wasn't an issue last year. Getting points against Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, City. But as I say, this will be a game that Brighton will want to pick up 3 points, but I can see Burnley having the same attitude, and I can see them cancelling each other out. Maybe goose eggs. I'm going to say 0-0 away at Turf Moor for Brighton.
A classic. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this game is going to set the house on fire or anything.
We're absolutely knackered if this ends up 4-3, aren't we now? I can't see it happening though, really. I mean, Burnley are 15 points worse off last season than they were the season before. I mean, and they've done nothing about it, which spells, danger for me. Brighton's defensive record was incredible at home last season, wasn't it? I mean, I think how many clean sheets did they have at home? They were, I think, second behind Man City at one point towards the end of the season, weren't they, for home clean sheets?
Yeah, well, the back five is incredible. And since we brought in Sanchez in goal, we've stopped shipping a lot of unnecessary errors, if you like. So, missing Lamptey is key. I'm not sure how long that's going to be. Hopefully, that's in the next few weeks.
Maybe after international break, I think Lamptey will be back, hopefully.
Yeah, and there's no Dan Burn as well. So we might see a makeshift right back for Brighton as Veltman shifts into the centre. So it could be Gross, could be Trossard playing at right back.
Well, based on what you've just told me, if Chris Wood does start, and of course you haven't got Lamptey and Danny Welbeck is out, and you haven't got Dan Burn, I think Burnley might sneak this. I'm going to say a home win.
12 goals for Chris Wood last season.
Yeah. Sorry, Stefan.
Let's hope you're wrong.
Clive, what do you think?
I'm going to go Brighton home win 1-0.
Away win, you mean? Brighton
away win. Sorry, my bad. Brighton away win 1-0.
All right, well, moving on to a team who are home. It's Chelsea at home to Crystal Palace, Clive.
Lukaku's just got over the line last night, didn't he? I mean, he's now the most, literally, I think everyone's just spent money on this player, and he's been proved every time at every club he's been at. I mean, £227 million is what's been spent on Lukaku in combined transfer fees. The only other player that's featured, well, there's a couple actually of Di Maria and Coutinho who featured in total transfer fees, and players that have featured in the Premier League where, but no one comes close really to Lukaku's combined transfer fees. The question for me is, does he come straight into the team on Saturday? I mean, he would have been training with Inter Milan, and they start their season a little bit later than the Premier League. So in terms of pre-season prep, I can't see him starting against Palace. I think he might come on with 20, 30 minutes to go, and Chelsea had 120 minutes of the Super Cup final to deal with. Ziyech is also injured for Chelsea. I mean, they do have strength in depth. Mount's not had any pre-season. Neither's Chilwell really, although Chilwell didn't really feature for England, and Alonso was at left back for Chelsea in that Super Cup final. So I think they might just simply maybe go with Chilwell on the left for the first hour, and then maybe bring in Alonso or vice versa. I mean, their defence was amazing under Tuchel since he come in. I mean, Rudiger as Piccioletta, Mendy in goal. I mean, it's just, I fancy Chelsea to be incredibly tight this season. Goals conceded. I think Pulisic will probably start for Chelsea. He came on for Ziyech in the Super Cup final when he went off. I suspect that Tuchel will probably start with Werner and Havertz in the false nine. Let's not underestimate Crystal Palace here. I mean, we'll find out what kind of a manager Vieira is. I mean, everyone's saying it's a risk putting someone like Vieira in, who's untested in the Premier League. Any manager that you appoint in the Premier League is a risk. It all depends how well he gels with the players. One player I'm really looking forward to seeing is that Michael Olise. Scored an absolute 7 goals and a hatful of assists for Reading in the Championship last season. So he's definitely one to watch. I like Mitchell. He's going to come in at left back after being in Van Aanholt's shadow. And they've really strengthened up in centre-back. I fancy Anderson to be an absolute rock for Palace this season. It's not going to be an easy game for Chelsea. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Chelsea win, but it'll be a hard-fought 2-1 win for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think this Chelsea team that's going to line up on Saturday will be very different from the one that is challenging for the league at the end of the season. We've got players coming back in drips and drabs, and obviously Lukaku doesn't look like he's going to start. However, I think they've just got a lot of strength and depth, and I think they'll be too strong for Palace. Palace, I'm not sure how many of these new signings he's going to be able to play on Saturday. I think it might be only the boy, is it Gaya, at centre-back, that might make the first 11. Eze is out. I think
Eze's out till November, at least, with that Achilles injury.
And Elise, as you say, he won't be playing on Saturday as well. So, yeah, it might be a few of the old players from last season for Palace. And, yeah, I see a comfortable Chelsea win, I think.
Yeah, I've got nothing really more to add to that. 2-0 Chelsea, 3-0 Chelsea. I think it'll be easy. I don't rate Vieira. We all know about that. So, yeah, home win all round. All right, moving on. Everton versus Southampton. All right, so looking at the Everton team, Calvert-Lewin, he's got an ankle knock, so they're not sure if he can start or not. Apparently it's still doubtful. But
back in training yesterday.
Back in training yesterday.
Yeah, back in training. And Rich Arlison has just come back from the Olympics, and those are the only two strikers they've got. So I'll be very surprised if they don't wheel out Dominic Calvert-Lewin to some extent tomorrow. He's going to be against a very weak Southampton side as well. So I mean, Mr. Hangtime probably could do enough damage in the first half, to be honest. Yeah,
let's see if Townsend from the right can whip in some balls to Calvert-Lewin, and Calvert-Lewin doesn't have to jump high enough to hurt his ankles. Like you said, Richarlison is out because, has opted to not take a break. He's come straight back from the Olympics and his training. Everton are undefeated in their last 16 home matches against Southampton in all competitions. Southampton last season lost 10 of 11, or the last 10 of 11 away games.
Wow.
Right? And they conceded 2 goals in 9 of those games, at least 2 goals in 9 of those games. Last season, it was 1-0 to Everton. Ward-Prowse has returned to training, so Hasenhüttl will probably want to play him, but I don't think it's going to happen. Again, he's looking doubtful. He's also suggested that Armstrong won't be ready in time, and Broja, the Chelsea loanee, is also in the same boat. However, Perrault should feature at left back. Here's one for you though, Clive. Vestergaard looks like he is on his way to Leicester.
Yeah, it's done. It's a done deal.
So
done
deal.
15 million?
15 million.
15. Great deal.
That's a huge loss for Southampton at this moment.
Well, Salisu will come in at centre back for them.
Correct.
For Southampton, but I mean, they're struggling on strength in depth big time.
I'm going to go Everton home win.
Yeah, agree totally with that, and it could be by a few, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think if Rafa was picking a first game when he's got to try and get the fans on side, I think he'd have probably chosen Southampton at home.
Anyone would. Right now.
Vestergaard is a big loss, especially if we think Calvert-Lewin's going to be fit, with the balls coming into the box, trying to head them away. I think Everton will edge it. Won't be a classic. I think if they don't get the result, though, there'll be a lot of pressure on Rafa early doors. He's got quite an easy start, so he'll be looking to get some points. But I'll go with Everton for this one.
All right. Well, moving on, Clive, your beloved Leicester versus Wolves.
Wolves are a bit of an unknown, aren't they? I think, really. I mean, they're disappointing. I think when Jimenez got that horrible injury, I mean, they tailed off quite badly. But I mean, he's back. He looks sharp, and he looks match fit. They've managed his minutes in pre-season, and the last couple of games, I think the last game certainly he played the full match, and he doesn't seem to be having any after effects from that fractured skull. So he'll be playing with the protective band, and Vestergaard, I can't see him starting. It's possible he might start. He might be on the bench though, and you might see Amati, because after the Community Shield, I think you could see that Amati at least has been training with the team. He knows the positioning of Soyuncu. I think you're going to see Bertrand at left back, and he's getting his share of set pieces. So he's one to watch there. I think Leicester have got a bit of a plan in terms of dead ball situations where Bertrand and Maddison will be sharing those between them. And Harvey Barnes looked back to his best. I mean, he had something like 9 goals, 6 assists before his injury against Arsenal towards February, March last season. And I think he'll just crack on from where he left on, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think he'll persevere with Vardy up front at the start of the season, and I think Barnes will come in for Iheanacho. And Patson Daka is going to be incredibly exciting when he does sort of get into his rhythm in the Premier League. Trincao is another player that I rate highly that Wolves have got on loan from Barcelona. Leicester after him a couple of seasons ago. The deal didn't come off. I think it's going to be a very tight 1-0 win for Leicester tomorrow. But going to be a good game, I reckon.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. We're not really sure what to make of Wolves at the moment. new manager, striker coming back, been out for a while. I think Bertrand, you mentioned there, Clive, Barnes. I think Bertrand having him behind him this year, that would help him a lot. And then you've got impacts on the bench as well. So that with Vardy, they're sort of phasing out Vardy with even more pace, if you like. And I can see Leicester winning this. I think
they'll just manage Vardy this season, because I think Rodgers is very conscious that, you know, we've got a squad now with Samir as well that's coming from Lille. We've got a squad now, I think, that can genuinely challenge in the Europa League and not allow it to affect our Premier League for too much. You know, I really think we've got like-for-like players in the majority of positions. Defence, possibly, but we've still got Justin to come back from injury. Fofana we're not going to see for a very long time, but James Justin at some point will come back around about November time. Hopefully.
Great season last year, wasn't he?
Oh, it's amazing, absolutely brilliant. So I mean, I think we'll see him figure hopefully before Christmas, and that will bolster the defensive ranks. Let's not forget about Johnny Evans. I mean, he'll be back probably after the international break, so just in time for when Europa League starts in September. And very much looking forward to adding to that trophy cabinet at Leicester for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to say Leicester home win as well. Like you said, I think Wolves are an unknown entity under their new manager, and I think Leicester can capitalise. So I think, Leicester home win. All right, let's move on now. Watford versus Aston Villa. Now, Watford have brought in a lot of players, a lot of unknown players this season, and I think a few of them will be starting. I think we'll see Danny Rose at left back. I think we'll also see Dennis and probably Kuka, the signed from Fiorentina, will probably start as well, if available. I think they are available. Looking through my notes.
Kuka, the Colombian lad.
Yeah,
he's been playing up front in pre-season, and he looks a player. And definitely want to watch Watford this season. 100%.
I agree. Josh King is out though, unfortunately. As is Jose Pedro.
Pedro's out as well.
And they've also failed to negotiate a new contract for Will Hughes. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Sure
no great loss though, is it? Apart from the hairdressers in Watford. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna miss Will Hughes this season.
Shalaba is also out. So we're going to see a lot of new and different players coming in for Watford for this game. However, Sarr will probably start up front, and he'll be the one to watch for Watford. For Villa, Bailey's not fit, unfortunately. I think he's still in isolation, or he's just coming out of isolation, so he won't be available. Luiz, who is coming back for Brazil, and again, I don't think he will be able to start. And I'm not sure if Ollie Watkins will be fit. So that's going to be hit or miss. However, they have got Ings, who will be coming in and looking to make it hot from the start. He'll want to get on that goal sheet, I'm sure. He'll want to start strong. And the back four is all settled with Martinez in net, Mings, Konsa, Cash, and Target. So that'll be strong. We might even see Ashley Young playing on left wing. But overall,
against his old club.
Against his old club, exactly. Yeah, so he might throw him in. Nakambra and McGinn are set to start in midfield. So I'm going to go with Aston Villa, because a little bit like Wolves, but even more so, it's almost like a new team playing for Watford. So
defensive record though, Watford last season. I mean, let's not underestimate that. I mean, it's going to be another of these games that will be very, very tight, I think. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
But saying that, I think trying to put all these new players together right from the start, it could take a few games for them to gel. So I'm going to go with Aston Villa based on that.
Yep, same. I fancy a Villa away win.
Yeah, hard to call. I think, as you say, lack of experience maybe in that Watford team in terms of Premier League experience. The signings that Villa have brought in, so Buendia and Ings, will have a big impact, and they're going to hit the ground running, I think. So I can see Villa shading this one as well.
Okay. Next up, Norwich versus Liverpool, Stefan.
Yeah, so a bit of a chaotic pre-season for Norwich. They've had a lot of COVID cases. Obviously lost their best player, Buendia, to Villa. And there's rumours of Cantwell maybe leaving before the window is out, which would be an absolute disaster for them. He's got a bit of a niggle. We're not sure if he's going to make it for the game at the weekend. So they're going to rely mainly on Pukki, I think, to try and get them goals this season. And if you remember a couple of seasons ago, he started the season really, really well. And then he sort of just ran out of fuel. And I don't think that's going to be enough. So you speak about Brentford coming into the league with a proven goal scorer, if you like, or a player that we think is going to maybe get double figures for them. I can't see Norwich scoring many, to be honest, this season. That might prove their downfall. Josh Sargent, they brought in. He won't be available. Billy Gilmore is set to make his debut, though, and we've seen from various performances at Chelsea and obviously that man of the match performance at the Euros against England. He could be a real player. He could be a breakout player maybe this season. For Liverpool, they've got a great record against Norwich, and they'll be welcoming back Virgil van Dijk and Gomez from long-term injuries. I'm not sure if he will play them both coming off the back of those injuries, or whether he'll go with a new signing, Konate. Big news is that Robertson is out. He'll be out for a few weeks as well. So they're going to pay Simitas, I think, the Greek left-back, who's basically featured once in the Premier League, a brief substitute appearance. And I wonder whether those fullbacks, those attacking fullbacks, which are so important for Liverpool, whether that might be a bit lopsided in the opening weeks, and maybe too much emphasis on Trent Alexander-Arnold, who had a great end of the last season, obviously trying to force his way into that Euro squad. So he might be a key man for them. Still question marks over the fitness of Jordan Henderson and Thiago. So it might be a case of Fabinho playing alongside Keita, or even Oxlade-Chamberlain or Milner, or the young lad Elliott coming in for him. And it'll be interesting to see which front three he goes with. I think as Firmino's coming back from the Olympics, from the Copa America, he might go with Jota. And then I wonder if that will carry on throughout the season, and we'll see Firmino getting placed out of the squad. For me, this is an easy Liverpool win, and I think this could be quite comfortable 3 or 4-0 for Liverpool. No problems with the first 11 for Liverpool. I think as they go deeper into the season, we might have issues there with squad depth. Norwich haven't got the quality, and I think Liverpool run out easy winners here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. There's nothing really more to add.
Yeah,
got a much better starting 11, much better squad. So
Jota was looking outstanding in pre-season. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I mean, I think he would have got a hat full had he not missed about 9-10 weeks with a bit of a knee injury last season. But I mean, I think the most interesting thing to see for Liverpool this season is how well Bobby Firmino does compared to Jota. Is it a bit of a changing of the guard there? Because I think Liverpool do struggle sometimes if Mane and Salah can't break a bit more of the stalwart defences in the Premier League. So yeah, Liverpool, easy away win. Could easily be 3 or 4 there.
Yeah, so the Norwich-Liverpool game is the late kickoff on Saturday. Moving on to Sunday, Clive, we have Newcastle versus West Ham.
I mean, there's only one team in this for me, to be perfectly honest with you. West Ham just look really formidable this season. I think, they've not strengthened that front line yet, which I hope they will do. I mean, as long as Antonio, manages to stay fit, the support he's got behind him is just incredible. I mean, he's got Bowen, Fornells, Ben Rama, and then a centre midfield of Rice and Souček. I mean, you couldn't really ask for much more. Not to mention the free kick creativity from Aaron Cresswell. You've got Soufal on the right side, who just full of assists last season. Competition in between the sticks now between Fabianski and Areola, and it looks like and it looks like Craig Dawson and Diop will be centre backs for West Ham, and they formed quite a formidable partnership. And then when you put that up against the likes at the back of Kieran Clark, Lascelles, and Fernandez, I mean, West Ham could really seriously give Newcastle an absolute pummeling, and you kind of fear for Steve Bruce a little bit here, because I mean, if that is the case, the Newcastle fans are not nervous about letting the manager know their feelings. Callum Wilson actually out of the last 6 meetings against West Ham has scored in about 5 of them. So I mean, he's one to watch in this game. I'm really glad to see Willock return to St James's Park, because I think he adds a different dimension to their play. And then you've got St Maximin. We all know what he can do. It's a similar case with Burnley, really. I mean, they just haven't kicked on, with the exception of Willock, but they had him the second half of last season anyway. The defence at Newcastle worries me. I mean, I don't know who they're going to put in goal, because is it Dubravka? He's injured, isn't he? The Slovakian keeper. He's probably still sort of hiding in the wardrobe after his calamitous performance against Spain. I would be if I was him. So they're struggling for a goalkeeper, to be perfectly honest. And at the moment, it's looking like third choice Woodman might actually line up for Newcastle there, and Antonio must just be absolutely licking his lips at that prospect. So yeah, again, big away win for West Ham for me.
Has the Willock deal gone through? Is it actually confirmed?
Yeah, Willock's deal done.
100%?
Personal terms
It's
agreed.
gone through, right? Okay.
Yeah, gone through.
All right.
25 million. So I mean, good business for Newcastle there, but they need to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see West Ham winning this. I think going forward they'll have too much. And you mentioned the problems they've got at the back. West Ham finished the season brightly, but so did Newcastle as well. You mentioned the fans coming back, and I can see them really voicing a year out now. They've got a chamber now to voice their opinions, right, and let Steve Bruce have it. And I think Newcastle might start the season quite badly, and I can see West Ham walking away with this one.
Let's not be honest. I mean, Newcastle fans are probably the most spoilt brats in the Premier League, period. You know, I mean, they believe they should be doing a lot better than what they are. I mean, as long as that anger is directed towards Mike Ashley, I think Bruce. We don't know what Bruce could be capable of doing if he was given a little bit more money to spend and bring in the players that he wants.
Joel
to.
Linton,
you know,
40 million.
Joel Linton. Who was that? Was that Bruce or was that Benitez who brought in Joel Linton? I'm pretty sure it was a Benitez signing that Joel Linton.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, Joel Linton, you know, he's not the greatest player, but Joel Linton tends to only score when he's playing Tottenham. So it's unfortunate that they're not lining up against Spurs. But we'll speak about them a bit later. But yeah, I just think you've got to get off to a good start if you're a Newcastle manager, and I fear for Bruce if they don't.
I don't think it's going to be that easy for West Ham. I think everyone knows West Ham are a good side now, and sometimes that can affect how the other team plays. And I feel like Newcastle are going to line up to stop West Ham rather than attack them. And I feel like they could.
I don't think they can.
I think they can counter it. They've got Maximan and they've got Callum Wilson up front, probably starting. I think with them two up front, they could nick a goal. So I'm not going to say Newcastle's going to win, but I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a score draw.
Oh, okay. Interesting, Aaron. Sitting on the fence.
Oh, that's not sitting on the fence. Just predicted. All right. Anyway, last game of the weekend, the showpiece game, Spurs versus Manchester City. Now, none of Spurs signings are expected to start. No Ramiro, who's injured. So it looks like Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer will be at centre-back. Gil was at the Olympics, so he's unlikely. Kane is available, but
Kane won't play.
He's not.
I think Man City came out yesterday and said that if Spurs are willing to do business for 150 million, then that deal will go through. If Kane plays in that game, I'll eat my collection of football shirts. There is not a chance. There is not a chance that Kane will play against Man City. None whatsoever.
Oh, I agree.
So yeah.
So it looks like we're going to see Son up front as a lone striker, Bergwijn and Moura supporting him, and Ali, of course, in behind. And then two defensive midfielders of Hodgberg and Skip, I would suggest, will be in there playing. And then for City, a lot of personnel is away. Foden and De Bruyne are out. Laporte is in isolation. Jesus and Edison were at the Copa America. So it looks like Stefan will be in net again. Walker, Stones and Sterling, of course, went all the way to the final with England, so I'm not sure what part they will play. So it looks like Ake and Ruben Diaz will be at the back. Grealish, I would suggest, will start from the beginning. And it looks like Torres will be up front alongside Mahrez. So with Gundogan, Rodri and Fernandinho in the midfield, I think this could not be that. Like Leicester played against City in the Community Shield, I don't think City are as an attacking threat without the players that I've just mentioned out.
They're absolutely not.
However, are Tottenham without Kane?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, what we will see sort of a little bit with Spurs is the re-emergence of Dele Alli here. I really
you really believe in Dele Alli more than I do.
I don't think he's a bad player. I think he was very harshly treated by Mourinho. And I think, if you look at his previous seasons, I mean, Ali, produced. Even when he provided that assist for Moura in that last gasp equaliser against Ajax. I mean, Ali performs on the bigger stage, and the way that Mourinho treated him was ultimately Mourinho's downfall. You've got Bergwijn as well on the left who can perform for them, and Lucas Moura, is also a very attack-minded attacking midfielder. Son up front on his own probably won't work, as we go forward throughout the season. But with opening day and stuff like that, I thought Man City were poor against Leicester, and I think Pep, was very frustrated with the quality of finishing Mahrez and Gundogan. It'll be interesting if Grealish starts. If Grealish starts, that gives them a definite dimension.
I think he will.
I think he has to. I think he has to, because I think they really did lack any kind of penetration against Leicester.
Mahrez got a few shots off, but they were wayward.
There was nothing on target for them.
Yeah, exactly.
They really didn't threaten Schmeichel at all throughout the whole game. I mean, defensively, I'd be worried with Nathan Ake at the back. I mean, Stones has just signed his new contract. I'd be saying to Stones, like, get yourself ready for this one. Because they've got Norwich in the second game, and we'll talk more about that next week. But I mean, I'd be playing Stones in this one and resting him against Norwich, to be honest with you, because Ake looks appalling against Leicester, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Diaz will be definitely back for them. Mendy will probably line up at left back. Spurs defence, I mean, Romeo hasn't had a decent enough pre-season yet, so I don't think we'll see him for Spurs.
No, he's got a knee injury. He's got a knee injury, Romeo.
Right. So if you'd like to see Sanchez and Dyer at centre back for Spurs, I mean, Torres, for me, out of all of the players probably get a shot on Sunday, he's really one to watch. I think he's a great player, and it just depends what kind of Riyad Mahrez turns up, whether it's the one that we saw previously in pre-season or one against Leicester in the Community Shield. But they definitely need him to put in a performance if they're going to win. Not easy at all, this one.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna make a big prediction. I'm gonna say Grealish is gonna flop in this game. I don't think he's got enough support around him to do very well, and I think I'm going to go Spurs. I'm going to say Spurs are going to sneak a victory. Stefan, don't agree?
Yeah, what I can predict, we're going to see camera shots of Harry Kane every time there's a lull in this game. It's made for that.
Well, I would say the same thing about Grealish. Every time he makes a little bit of an error, we're going to start questioning that 100 million price tag. I think the pressure's going to get to him. I know he's going to look at that team on Sunday, and he knows that he's going to carry a lot of the weight of the attacking threat. And
I think he's used to that pressure, though. I do.
Yeah, but guess what?
I
think Santo will know this, and they'll go after him. I think we'll see a lot of pressure being put on Grealish, and I don't think he's going to perform.
The best thing about Grealish is if you go after Grealish, you just draw the foul, and you'll get the free kick.
But that's not the way City play, are they?
It's not, but it's not the way City play. You're right, but under the circumstances, the players that they've got available to them, I think they'll take it, especially if they get the win that they need to start off the season. And I think that's one of the reasons that they've bought Grealish, because he draws. It's similar to like previous Premier League players who are just quick and strong, like Heskey, for example, at Leicester, who just drew two defenders towards him at all times on the wing.
We're going way back now.
It's why Claridge scored so many goals for Leicester. It's going to be similar when they sign Kane. Kane's going to get about 30, 40 goals from Man City next season with having Grealish on the wing, because he's just going to be unmarked in the box all the time. It's because he'll just draw players away from him. I can see Torres having a really good game on Sunday, and I think that could be Tottenham's undoing. I'm going to go with a draw, though, because I just wasn't impressed with them on Sunday. Yeah.
Stefan?
Yeah, I think if these teams play each other in a few weeks, the lineups will be very, very different. Hard to call. I'm going to say a draw.
Yep.
How about that? They're heads on to win the league, right? And we're going with a draw against a weakened Tottenham side. That's how competitive this Premier League season is going to be. All right, boys and girls. First preview of the Premier League season is over with. We'll see you next time on Halftime Origins. Now, don't forget, what do you think about what we just said? You can write in the comments and tell us how bad or good you think we are. All right, boys and girls, see you next time. Bye.
Cheers.
From me.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.